Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. And boy, have we got a series going because we're doing Schubert. I have no idea how many videos this is going to encompass because I've got a ton of Schubert. I'm looking back here at the bin and well, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe we may have a dozen videos coming, 10 or 12, somewhere in there, probably. It depends on how many discs we decide to do in a group. And because we're starting with a clump, a large clump. Here is clump number 1 of Schubert. And we've got symphony cycles, and we've got, actually, I've got just as much stuff upstairs too. So it's just like, oh, yeah. Well, let's start with a bang, shall we? And I've got like the complete Schubert song collections and all that stuff upstairs. So we don't have to talk about it downstairs. Thank God, some of them. But some of them are down here and some of them are quite marvelous. For example, this, Ellie Ameling sings Schubert. Let's start at the beginning with one of the great leader singers in the history of the lead, the fabulous soprano Ellie Ameling, and oh my goodness, with Dalton Baldwin and Rudolph Janssen at the piano. And this is what, 4 CDs of glorious Schubert leader. Absolutely, but it just doesn't get any better. I mean, it really doesn't. I just love this. And now, of course, there's a big Ellie Ameling box out. But before there was a big Ellie Ameling box, we were all scrambling to get her recordings, and her Schubert recitals are iconic. Absolutely amazing. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, this is beautiful too. This is Schubert works for violin and orchestra and not orchestra. Yes, the reason I got this is Gideon Kramer with Valery Afanasiev, piano, and Emil Chakharov with the London Symphony. The 2 rondos for violin and orchestra. Those are quite charming and delightful, and like typically Schubert, they go on for heavenly lengths. The second one for rondo and strings, Deutsch 438, is 14 minutes long. Oh my God. Then we've got the Sonata Deutsche 574, which is really quite charming and delightful. But the real main item, and the reason I got this disc was because it has the Fantasy. The Fantasy for violin and piano, Deutsche 934. That's a very late work. One of his fabulous C major things, like the C major quintet, that kind of stuff. It's glorious. And the Wanderer Fantasy, which is another, he wrote these fantasy pieces toward the end of his life, and they are extraordinary. And the violin and piano one is very little known. It's 25 minutes long. It's a big, long sucker in like 4 movements, and it is glorious. Yes, fabulous. So there was a time, actually, when it was rather hard to find. And, that made, so that's why I got that one, which is quite good. But, there weren't that many choices. Now there are a zillion more. Like, for example, of course, there was always Heifetz, who's shorter, faster than everybody, 20 minutes as opposed to Kramer's 25. But here it is with Brooks Smith. I didn't even know that Heifetz had done it. And I remember seeing this going, oh, look, Heifetz with Piatigorsky. This is, the Brahms Piano Quartet in C minor, and the Beethoven Trio Opus 9 No. 2 with Primrose and Piatigorsky and like famous people like that. It's one of those Heifetz things. So, you get it because it's Heifetz. And everyone says, well, Heifetz dominates and he's only interested in violin playing and all that. Well, yes, that's often true. But when the violin playing is that good, it's kind of hard to complain. We don't really care, do we? Die Schöne Müllerin. Oh, wow, with Fritz Wunderlich. Yeah, this is the super cool Fritz Wunderlich Schöne Müllerin. I mean, if I were a Schöne Müllerin, I would want to have Fritz Wunderlich singing about me, wouldn't you? So it's that, along with, let's see, Hubert Giessen as the pianist. But we don't care. We care about Fritz Wunderlich. And you also get The Trout, Die Forelle, a song which always irritated the crap out of me because it's kind of silly. Hi, I'm a little trout. I'm a little trout. I swim in my little fishy way through the river. It's, it's better in the quintet. And then we have, let's see, the spring thing, Springtime Credo, Frühlingsglaube, and the Heldenröslein, the Heidenröslein, pardon me. That would be a heroic rose, little rose. This is a wild little rose. So there you go. Fritz Wunderlich, yes. Houston Symphony, Christoph Eschenbach. Oh, Yes, indeedy. This was a wonderful disc on Koch. You've got the Schubert Barrio rendering, which is it's one of Barrio's greatest works, I'm convinced. It's based on Schubert's uncompleted symphony, his 10th symphony or whatever, to pick a number. And what Barrio has done is take the Schubert sketches and play them more or less as Schubert wrote them, and then link them with delicate interludes with strange celesta sounds and things like that. I mean, it works. It works really well. It's the patches between it's if you had a beautiful building or a statue that was broken and you fill in the gaps with some foreign material, and then you have a patch of, classical architecture, or then some other thing, and then it's just such an audible sculptural thing. It's fabulous. And you also get the Schubert-Joachim Grand Duo, which, the Grand Duo really is a symphony. I don't care what anyone says. It is so unpianistic. Totally. I read Tovey's essay on it. Someone asked me who Tovey was. Tovey, Donald Francis Tovey, the great English musicologist, wrote an essay on the Schubert Grand Duo and Joachim's orchestration. There are several orchestrations. Weingartner did one as well, but it is a symphony. It should be played as such. And this does quite well. It's with the Houston Symphony, and Eschenbach is in good form. It's a beautiful disc. It really is. Let's see what have we got here. The Trout, with Rudolf Serkin and Jaime Laredo and Philip Negela and Leslie Parnas and Julius Levine, whatever he calls himself. The Marlborough People. Absolutely marvelous. It also comes with the Mozart Clarinet Quintet with Harold Wright and Alexander Schneider. And this is one of those great Marlborough discs. We really need a Marlborough box, don't we? Columbia? Yes, maybe. And let's see, the unfinished, Toscanini. Schubert 9 and the unfinished, the great and the unfinished. Wonderful performances. It's Toscanini's in very good form. These were recorded rather late, I think. 50 and 53, so the sonics are fine. Good solid mono and really marvelous performances that don't get as much credit probably as they deserve, because, Toscanini and Schubert are not names which went together synonymously, but boy, does he play that stuff. It's terrific. Look, Schulhoff. Sorry. There's a leftover Schulhoff chamber music disc on Praga with the Katsian and Praja quartets. Well, that's pretty cool. So this is going back in the Schulhoff area. Can I do it? Oh, yes, I can. Thank God. It's not lost forever. Skrovichevsky plays Schubert. There we go. More Schubert. The Fifth Symphony and the unfinished, and the Rosamunde incidental music, the overture, the entr'acte number 2, and the ballet. The Rosamunde music is serious Schubert, really fine stuff. And if you do all of it here, you've got 25 minutes worth of music. These are with the Minneapolis Symphony, now the Minnesota Orchestra, and Mercury Living Presence. Fine performances. Skrovichevsky was a terrific conductor. He really was. Maybe there will be a Mercury Skrovichevsky box in the offing at some point. Wouldn't that be fun? But in the meantime, there was this, and I am so glad I saved it. So there you have it, friends. Oh, I don't have it. Are you kidding? I've got 2 more big things here. Yes, this one. This clump. This is Schubert Sonatas with Christian Zacharias. 5 discs worth of them. That's lots of them. And these are beautiful performances. They seem to have been completely forgotten by the universe at large. But, let's face it. We need to talk heart to heart. Vom Herzen to Herzen, whatever, as Beethoven said, yes. No, when you have so many recordings of great works done by so many fine artists, the only way you make sense of your life is to forget most of them and just pick the few that you like and hang on to those and pretend the rest don't exist. And that's what happens, when we do surveys and repertory things and I have to pick 10 recordings and you all mentioned the other 500 that I didn't pick. It's impossible. It's just impossible. There's so much good stuff. He's a wonderful, sensitive pianist that did beautiful Schubert. And here it is on five discs on EMI. Where they are now is anybody's guess. And then, last but not least, for this particular clump, the complete symphonies with Günter Wand and Cologne Radio. This is his first bunch of Schuberts. After this, he made some remakes, but mostly of the ninth and the unfinished. And he did them always superbly well. One of the best things about this cycle is that it has no weaknesses. The early symphonies are fresh and marvelous, and the late symphonies are great. And he does one of the great Schubert nines. A great, in other words. One of the greats, without a doubt. So this is a keeper. But there are so many fine Schubert symphony cycles out now. I mean, there really are some remarkable ones, some of which we will be discussing. In fact, this one's going to come up again rather shortly, unless I'm mistaken. Oh, my God. All right, so here we go. We made a start with Schubert, and good for us. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.